Hello, everybody. Welcome to another NOLAnerd movie review. Guardians of the Galaxy. Hashtag Star Wars for the next gen. Hashtag I liked it better than Star Wars.
Yeah.
Hashtag that.
Hashtag you don't like Star Wars, so whatever.
Hey, I like it.
No, you don't.
I am the most middle of the road fan of Star Wars ever.
Yeah.
I am you with Star Wars as you are with everything else.
Okay.
It's alright.
It's alright.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Alright. Guardians of the Galaxy, Marvel's biggest gamble to date, and also looking to be one of their best movies they've ever done.
Remember when it was announced like 3 years ago, and we were like
shaking their head.
We were like, the who? What?
Like, I know they have a comic, but
where's
I
Ultron?
barely know about them.
Where's Thanos? And then, yeah, because Guardians of the Galaxy, at least the most recent iteration from going back maybe 8 years or so, it was a well-regarded comic that wasn't a huge seller.
No.
It was very
It was part of
niche.
the DNA, the Dan Abbott, like, their...
Advent and Lanning.
Yeah.
Cosmic Verse.
Right.
And it was... I mean, I haven't read it. I'm going to now because
the only thing I read, like, I know Annihilation was the big one, but I read The War of Kings because it was an X-Men crossover. But
it
neither here nor there.
It was when it was announced. We looked at this like
skeptically,
like they were insane, and they picked James Gunn, who had done Slither and not really high profile kind of movies at all. This seemed huge. This seemed like it could be the first real flop of the Marvel
people were predicting
universe.
That if this failed, it would be the beginning of the bubble burst.
I've said this many times that if this movie was a linchpin, if this movie failed, Marvel's entire cinematic future is in jeopardy.
And not to mention that ripples over to DC because their plans only continue if it's lucrative.
Yeah.
So, but let's talk about the movie.
It's rubbish. Actually, it's great.
We're going to do as close to spoiler-free as we can manage while still telling you all the great things about this movie.
So let's do what's good.
Well, okay. Let's. That's too broad a question because I can go on and on. Let's talk about the things you didn't like in the sense of a nitpick here or there because that's all I've really got.
They have hired big name actors. Our friend Andy posted this earlier today, and it's true. They've hired big name actors, and they did nothing. Glenn Close and Benicio del Toro.
My thing with the Glenn Close one, I don't even worry about because it's a waste of her. But that gets into my second nitpick, which I'll get into. The Benicio del Toro as the collector being underutilized bothered me more just because they felt his character was important enough to make him the stinger of Thor 2.
Yeah.
So I felt like there should have been more to him.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. He was an info dump.
Yeah, he was he was the closest thing we got to a standard exposition moment.
Yeah, and he basically broke down the future in not
uncommon terms.
Yeah, and it's for a movie like this movie is very separate from the rest of the Marvel universe. It almost doesn't connect at all, except for the MacGuffins and Thanos.
Right.
So
MacGuffins.
The stone.
Oh yeah, okay.
Aside from that, it doesn't connect at all.
No, and that's actually one of it. Yeah, that was one of its benefits because they can have their own cosmic universe, and then it can cross over when needed. Yeah. Because the rumor is that Avengers 3 is going to be the Thanos story, and the movies leading up to Avengers 3 are going to be him acquiring the various stones. The Aether from Thor 2, the Tesseract from Avengers 1 and Captain, and now the stone from Guardians. Yeah. So, but okay. My other nitpick is that the Nova Corps is completely ineffectual.
Mm-hmm.
Like, to the point of mockery. And that plays into Glenn Close's character not doing anything, but really none of the Nova Corps did anything.
Well, I think for whatever reason, they couldn't use Skrull. So they turned the Nova Corps from Green Lantern ripoff into a power of the universe. They're basically the Skrull analogs of this movie, I think.
Were they? Because they were more with the Kree.
That's how I view it because the Novas were always as I understood the Nova Corps.
They were supposed to be the police force.
Yeah, they're
the Green
kind of
Lanterns. Yeah. But that's my only problem, and I can understand. Like I said, nitpick. It really doesn't matter because this movie's not about the Nova Corps.
No.
But, and you know what, who's to say that it can't make a Nova movie, and then he is the superhero of the Nova Corps police force?
Yeah, well, because they basically just took the name Nova and not any of the trappings that go along with it.
Let's talk about the good.
There's lots of good.
First off, let's hit up the so we don't ramble on forever. Let's hit the 5 main characters and how fantastic. Like, this is a movie that lives and dies on how they can get people that know nothing about these characters to like these characters. Coming from huge comic book nerds like us, the fact that we were not even that familiar, and they're so instantly likable that you just root for them, and that is the key to an ensemble team movie like this.
Yeah. Chris Pratt. Oh, this is his big breakout. He was fantastic.
I already thought he was in Lego Movie.
I think the Lego Movie was the beginning, and this is the movie that'll make everyone sit up and be like, "Yo, Chris Pratt's really good."
He killed it in just everything. He's affable. Mm-hmm. He's humorous. He's got the action chops.
He's a modern day Han Solo.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the obvious metaphor everyone's making comparison.
He's the rogue. Like, the whole point of this thing is these guys are not quite good or evil. They're anti-heroes. Mm-hmm. They're nebulous. But Peter Quill, Chris Pratt as Peter Quill was phenomenal.
Yes,
he nailed it.
He was charming. He was vulnerable. He was strong. He was pretty well done.
He ran the gamut.
Yeah.
And Zoe Saldana as Gamora didn't have quite as much to work with.
She was fine.
But playing the badass ultimate warrior Gamora, she worked well with her action sequences. And I think some of the best scenes are when she's repeatedly refuting Chris Pratt's advances.
Yeah, she had one really laugh out loud scene with Chris Pratt. She was fine, but she didn't.
She was the straight man of the group.
Yeah, she didn't really do a lot to pull herself away, and the rest of the pack is so good that she's gonna get left behind.
Yeah, Gamora excels in the battle scenes, not the dialogue scenes. Yeah. She's the person that keeps the plot going.
Yeah, she's fine. Yeah, I don't know. You could pick anyone better. It's just the way she was written, right? But she was fine.
Yeah. Bradley Cooper's Rocket was amazing. He brought that level of sarcasm.
Way better than I thought he was ever going to be.
Better than the trailers gave you any indication of.
So when they first announced that Bradley Cooper was going to be Rocket, for some reason in my head, I always assumed that Rocket was Scottish.
I don't know why.
I don't know. I seem to
maybe in the comics.
I seem to recall someone mentioning that, and it kind of just stuck with me. So when I hear Bradley Cooper's going to do it, I'm not sold initially, but he did a wonderful job.
Nailed it.
Especially like the scene where Rocket has his big freak out on the middle of nowhere.
And literally.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why getting these actors to just voice these characters is a big deal, because when you have those moments and you take a character that's mostly there for comic relief and fun times and you give them that gravitas.
Yeah.
It's good times.
Yeah. He was delightful. Same with Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel,
all right, this is a man who a lot of people forget he was the Iron Giant and did a great job voicing him too.
Well, this was before he was drifting and going 5 faster.
But with only 3 words, I read the story that he really wanted to be Groot so bad that he recorded him saying "I am Groot" in so many different inflections and tones and stuff, and sent that in as his reel. That it shows he really enjoyed this role.
Yeah, he's a really good voice actor, and he had the hardest job because he had to turn the words "I am Groot" into a full range of emotions,
and he did.
It's incredible.
And then he also had the moment of the best friendship metaphor of the whole movie at the end. So
yeah, this Groot was delightful. We gotta talk about the effects. The effects are excellent.
Oh, well, we'll get to the effects. Yeah. All right, because I wanted to save the best guy for
last. Yes. Holy shit.
The one nobody saw coming was Dave Bautista as Drax was a comedic gem in this movie with his completely dry delivery. And the way the character was really benefited from the fact that Batista is the worst actor of the group, but it played to his strengths because that was the whole point of his character.
Yeah.
So they kind of cheated with it, but it ended up turning him into a very hilarious person to have on the team.
I know Batista primarily as the wrestler, and as as a man who does interviews and backstage segments, he's never been that great, but. This was eye-opening. My girlfriend who went to see it with us said that she actually likes Batista way more now that she saw the movie. His delivery of certain lines...
Oh, man.
There were 2 moments he deliberately made me laugh out loud. And it's so good. It's effortless.
If you had told us that Dave Batista would be in charge...
The breakout.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I have to take back a lot of things because it's really easy when you hire a wrestler to be like, oh, you hired a wrestler, whoop-de-doo.
Right.
Enjoy your muscle and nothing else.
So, Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser, I thought visually he looked the part. He didn't really have much to do.
He was kind of not a great villain.
And you know what? If there was one main flaw of Marvel movies as a whole, is that they lack distinctive villains.
You know who he reminds me? He reminds me of Malekith.
Yeah, again, because he's apparently this leader of this force that we really don't know much about. We only really see him. He's fueled by revenge and hate, and then it's over.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. Like, a lot of Marvel movies have had really shitty. Villains.
Not great villains. I mean, Marvel...
not memorable villains.
No.
Like, Loki is the big one, but even he kind of straddles the line.
Loki, Bucky...
Yeah.
And...
Because, Malekith, look at Whiplash, Ironmonger, name another one that no one can remember. Who was the villain of Thor? Oh, Loki. Okay. Yeah. But, Or the Frost Giants, even Avengers was Loki again. That's my problem is, but you know what, that has nothing to do with it.
It's neither here nor there, but
he was serviceable. He was fine. The weak link.
He did fine.
Better was Karen Gillan as Nebula, Gamora's half-sister. I thought she was every time she was on screen, I really enjoyed her delivery.
She was definitely more interesting.
She gave me such a Mass Effect vibe.
Yeah.
I don't know what it was.
She was blue.
She kind of looked like an Asari.
She was blue and cyborgy, so that's 2 of the 3 right there.
She was a biotic.
Yeah.
Without the biotics.
Jimon Hansu was Ronan's first lieutenant.
Right.
He was also fine.
Yeah. Although the big breakout that's not part of the 5 was Michael Rooker as Yondu. He was great.
Yeah, Yondu was apparently part of the original Guardians of the Galaxy.
Was he?
Again, in the long ago. I thought Michael Rooker, who has become kind of identified with his Walking Dead persona,
right,
has done really well. He's almost unidentifiable with his blue paint and his metal mohawk, which is a really nice touch. I
loved his whistling
arrow.
Yeah,
that was pretty great.
But yeah, so let's talk about other things. We've firmly established that the cast was pitch perfect and
excellent.
Just nailed it. The visuals
are amazing.
Because this is a movie that not only has world building to do, but galaxy building. And does so in such an effortless way that doesn't feel forced or expository. You got to see different locales. They all had a really good look. And one of the big things that made this movie so pretty was the coloring.
Yeah.
This was a vibrant movie, and it didn't fall back into your standard grays and blacks and browns.
It also went big from a comics perspective. They threw in not only the origin of the Infinity Gems, they also threw in the Celestials.
Yeah,
the base of Nowhere is based in a Celestial head, and that's huge. That's
given us, and they gave us the Kree, which can open up future storylines.
They have layered so much in this movie. It's kind of incredible.
So visual, and the visuals for Groot and Rocket, they're so expressive.
You know what? They're very on par with the Planet of the Apes effects. Yeah. Which were stunning. Which we talked about how you kind of forgot that they were not
exactly
apes.
it's crazy in that sense.
It's like an effect that you'll look at in like 10 years and you won't be embarrassed the way we're embarrassed by 10-year-old CGI.
Yeah.
I'm looking at you, Daredevil.
Oh.
And Elektra.
No one likes Elektra.
And Spider-Man.
Yeah. All right. So the humor, the plot.
It's fun. It's the right ratio of humor to action.
Yes, and with enough drama and just dramatic and character building moments interspersed. Like it opens with a very heartfelt like scene on Earth.
It delves into its
with that.
Yeah, it delves into its Indiana Jones homage at some point.
It's okay. Man, there's so much I want to talk about, but we don't want to go over.
No,
what else?
Not super.
What else do you want to like discuss? I mean, the action scenes were
incredible. The action scenes were fun. I don't know if they're on par with Avengers action scenes, but I think they're just as good.
I actually do think they're a little better.
I don't know. I'd have to. I'd have
to watch them both, but going gut reaction, I enjoyed the action scenes in this more. Avengers had that long like city battle.
Yeah.
But really, when you go look back at it, there weren't too many great moments. But the same can be said. See, the thing about this movie that I liked a lot over Avengers is that the team got together quickly.
Yes.
Avengers, 2/3 of the movie is spent getting the team together, and that was after each person had their own origin movie.
Yeah.
This movie, we got origins, we got the team together so early on that the rest of the movie got to build them together as a team and characters and give us better action sequences, and I thought that really benefited the movie.
It's that typical Marvel thing, and it was really smart in their ad build-up. They spent all the commercials telling you who everyone was, so when the movie came around, you weren't like, I don't understand.
The smartest thing they could do was put them all in a prison so that they could do the prison lineup thing and give you that brief breakdown. And that's all you need. Like, yeah, you could say it's just exposition, but it's done in a way that makes sense and doesn't feel like.
But there's a difference between this kind of exposition with these characters that no one knows and exposition in Superman, which everybody knows.
I know.
So it's smart. Like, you know, again, I took my girlfriend. My girlfriend's not a big comic fan, knows less about this than I do. And she was on the ball the whole time. The movie laid everything out in such a way that she was not lost.
It's very entrance level friendly. Like it brings you in because it's a movie that knows not a lot of people know about it, and so it does it effortlessly.
Yeah, and you know it's telling because it's Friday night. It's already at like the $90 million mark.
Yeah,
it's going to be huge and. The ball's in your court, everyone else.
Right?
I mean, they made...
I have one thing to say, Chris.
What?
You ready?
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah.
Dance off.
You win.
What?
You win.
Dance off?
Yeah, you won.
I don't know how to feel about the dance off.
That's pretty terrible.
That's funny.
That's funny. All right. We're not going to spoil the after scene sequence. I will tell you this.
Don't expect much.
I will tell you this. It made me laugh hysterically. It's weird because this is the first after credit sequence that doesn't actively build the next movie. It's there purely for shits.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of the Avengers shawarma scene
without the Thanos scene before it.
Or the Iron Man 3 scene where it's him talking to Bruce.
Yeah,
Banner.
it's that. Right. It's
so. Fun. What do you give it? Will you buy it? Go.
I'm going to give it a 9.5. I am definitely buying this as soon as it becomes available. And it might be 1 or 2 in the list of Marvel movies. It's really high up there. I have to really think about it.
I have to agree with you. This movie has shot up into the upper echelons of Marvel movies and comic book movies and the summer movies of this year in general.
It's king of the summer.
It's going to be hard to beat it. We're going to do a show upcoming where we break down our favorite movies of the summer, but I give it a 9.5. This is a no-brainer. This is the kind of movie that, because so few people know about it, it's the perfect movie to like show people and bring people into. Be like, oh my god, have you seen Guardians?
And it's fun. It's not so long that you would be You'd be like, oh.
It's not draining good like Dark Knight was, where you have to steel yourself to watch again. Like this is a movie that's just fun,
effortless.
But let's end it because we're going way over. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
NOLAnerds, Guardians of the Galaxy. Movie's phenomenal. Go see it if you like fun. Don't go see it if you hate fun. It's about that simple. Dance off.
I am Groot.
I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Whoa. Uncalled for, sir.
I am Groot.
I accept your apology.
I am Groot.